Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Wednesday with the Jocks of All Trades podcast. I'm Brad, joined by my friend Jay. We're going to introduce him in just a sec, but I do have to thank Fresh Cuts. As you can see, I'm rolling as usual. He's got me right. It's not just a haircut; it's an experience. Thanks, Caleb, for being a massive supporter to our podcast. Go to his website to get an appointment. Sorry. Wow. Brain. Weird words. English.
Not get it together.
With him. Get in. Let him get you right. He's a great guy, great sports guy. And we really appreciate him so much. So head to Fresh Cuts. That's FRESKUTS or HKUTS. Anyhow, guys, we're joined by Jay. Jay is our newest member of the podcast. We met through really fun circumstances. He's a great guy. Jay, did you want to introduce yourself?
Okay. Hey guys, I'm Bugman Jay, as you can tell. I'm a professional what does I want to say? Pest control technician. I got a brain for it then. But on the side, I am a sports stats guy. I just love sports, love talking about it. I'm just so happy to be here, having the opportunity to, talk sports, trivia, whatever. I'm just glad to be here. You can call me Bugman Stats. That's what you can call me.
Bugman Stats. That's gonna be our hashtag now. Is yes. Bugman Stats. I like that. I need to write that down. I don't want to forget that. So guys, we've been walking through the teams backwards. There's been a lot of trades since we've touched this last, but our next three teams are still the Bills, the Titans, and the Bucks. I know a couple Bucks fans follow us. I'm going to try not to butcher what I think your team needs. But let's go ahead and start with the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to go ahead and pull them up here. Let's talk about some of their needs, man. Cornerback. Cornerback is so massive for them. Yes. They do have Tre'Davious White. Tre'Davious White is great, but that's it. Like, do you feel the same way? Like, is it just kind of like one-man show?
Yeah, it seems like to me like they're investing more in a zone scheme, so they're only willing to pay one guy, and that one guy does so much. But there's, as you could tell in the Super Bowl, if you look at their stats, they're not that good in passing yards and passer rating against on the side that Tre'Davious White's not on. So they need at least a few pieces to try to kind of build depth and just to try to boost that scheme a little bit, because you saw in the playoffs last year, it was hard. It was hard to be a good team. It was hard to be effective when there's multiple guys with multiple talent. There's multiple talented guys on the field. Yeah. He can only cover one guy.
One at a time. As our friend Otten likes to coin it, defense wins championships. That was a whole argument that we had forever ago about the overtime rules, but that's what he said about the Bills. Defense win championships. If they could have stopped the Chiefs at any point, they would have gone on.
They would have won the game.
Yep. So that has to be one of the first things we talk about. Next one, offensive guard. It really is one of the weakest parts of their team. Yes. They lost Feliciano, and they need to upgrade the interior. Yes, especially when you have a quarterback that likes to rush. You don't really have a number one running back either, so I understand why you haven't invested in it a lot. But protect Josh Allen, build that run game. Don't make Josh Allen do everything. Look, Patty can do that for the Chiefs because Patty's got like an arm where he can throw like 75 yards. Josh Allen doesn't have that. He still has a cannon, and he's still accurate. But he needs time. He needs time in the pocket. He needs protection. He's not going to take 50 hits. He shouldn't take 50 hits in a game. What would you say? How high up is that for a need for them?
I would honestly say it could be as high as the first round for me, because the reason I say that is because as we've seen in this free agency, I call it money bag season, because everybody seems to getting paid, moving around. The market has just changed. It's like I just went in here to get an oil change, and it looks like I got a brand new car. It's just a whole new world. And the Bills have not done anything in my eyes to move the needle to keep them competitive in the AFC. And it all starts with numero uno. The coach's philosophy is he likes big bodies on that line. He wants his offensive line, his defensive line set. We've seen the tradition of how they've been going with draft picks over the last couple of years. I think they take this pick and they go out there and find somebody to pull Cody Ford out and make him a swing.
A coach of mine told me years ago, football is played on the line. Everything else is what the fans enjoy, but it's played in those trenches right there. And if you don't control those trenches, you don't control the game. So I'm with you on that. That is definitely something they need to invest in.
They cannot allow, because there aren't many good prospects out there as far as guards and offensive linemen. It's a drastic drop off after the second round, early second round, in my opinion. And so, as far as some of the draft boards and mock draft boards around, if they miss on this, there's no turning back.
No, it's gonna hurt. Let's talk D tackle and let's talk that pass rush. More like defensive end here with like Von Miller. He can kind of play both, play linebacker. That's an improvement. That's great.
Yes.
But I agree with Kyle. These are Kyle's notes. But has Ed Oliver, has he done enough? Is he a difference maker? Was that kind of a wasted pick? Does it feel like at this point?
They have, they during these meetings they talk to the coaches and people let you know things. And one of the things that I think is what they need to figure out is the quality in which they're picking. They picked a lot of guys on the defensive line. Ed Oliver is the best of a bunch that doesn't, in my eyes, pass a 80 grade. And that's even on one side of the ball. It's either they draft run stuffers who can't pass rush, or they get pass rushers who can't run support. And it's like they can't find a complete player on that line. They can play three downs, play both sides, play very physical. Ed Oliver is the best of the bunch, and I don't think he's worth his fifth year option.
No, I don't think so either. I think he is massively, massively disappointed.
Yes.
Wide receiver. We got to talk about it. Look, Diggs is incredible. He is. But he's had a weird season. He had a weird season last year. Cole Beasley is gone. Gabriel Davis is solid, but they need another dynamic receiver. Like they have good receivers. They don't have that dynamo kind of, man, you got to put two people on him kind of receiver.
There you go.
Is there anyone that, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but is there anyone that's on their current roster that you think could fill that gap or not really?
There's not many players outside of even Gabriel Davis is still wet behind the ears as far as exposure in the NFL, as far as exposure playing at a high level. How many games has Gabriel Davis even played at a high level? That's a real question too, because just because he had a good 4 or 5 game run, will that translate? Will his role increase? Will he gel in the offense if they bring some other high caliber prospect in to maybe either push him back to the slot where he was good at or keep him on the outside? So, and there's a lot of questions about the wide receiver group. I'm scared outside because even, like you said, Stephon Diggs, even his year was weird.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like they're going to invest anymore in the running game. So I see it as a turning point. Maybe there's more of an opportunity. They brought Dawson Knox back. Dawson Knox to me was just a touchdown grabber. So I wouldn't put him in the same range as Mark Andrews. So I really do feel like wide receiver should be addressed within the first 3 rounds, even though the depth at wide receiver is pretty deep in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. So that's kind of their needs. Do we want to just kind of quickly walk through their picks from last year and then just give like an overall grade to their draft?
Yeah.
Their first was Greg Rousseau, the defensive end out of Miami. I thought that was kind of reachy. When they picked him, I was like, whoa, I mean, you can. But I thought there were a lot of other prospects at that point that they could have taken that may have developed better. Their second, they must not have felt really good about Greg Rousseau because their very next pick was another defensive end in Carlos Basham Jr. from Wake Forest. I liked him walking into the draft. I thought he was pretty good. Second round, again, might be
a stretch. He might have been a day 3 guy.
so like you said, they're very reachy. And then they started addressing O-line. Like when you wait 3 rounds to start addressing O-line, it's exactly what you said. Those prospects go from here to here by day 3. Like massive drop.
I looked at not to cut you off, but I looked at even the draft board for this year for offensive guard. If I'm correct, there's only 2 that are in the top 100, and then it's like 115, 147 overall, 163 overall in some mocks. Like there's not much talent. Like they've been defensive heavy for the last 3 years, and what has it done? Now, granted, their defense is top in the league, and they're running, and I believe, an analytics system where it's a 4-year, 3-year rotate. You only keep a couple guys, and you ship out, and you keep revamping until something sticks, and then you pull another guy, and then they just keep rotating. It's the revolving door. And I feel like that's where they're going to continue to move in that revolving door, because they only let go Jeremy Hudges and defensive tackle Harrison Phillips. But they could do a lot.
Yeah.
They could do a lot.
And I think what bugged me, and you're probably going to agree with this, being, the bug man, is that, sorry, I had to, round 3 and round 5, they did take O-line.
Yes.
From nobody's schools. Like, if you're going to do that, go for one of those big guys out of Wisconsin or Iowa. Those guys always pan out. But you went Northern Iowa and Miami of Ohio. That's
conferences that really don't have that strong a competition in the scale of even the ACC.
Right. Like, yikes.
So where's your mind frame to believe that whatever you're putting together in the 3rd round can come in and have significant upgrade on your offensive line? Now, granted, the prospect depth last year could have been deeper, but the guys you got were still reaches by most standards because their grades not as high, not high at all. They're mediocre.
Yep. And I always cut off at like round 5, but I'll tell you what's in round 6 because most of the time those guys aren't going to contribute. But they took a receiver, 2 cornerbacks, and another O-lineman. So they must have felt bad about the O-lineman that they picked early.
Yes.
If you pick another one in the 7th. So
or were they banking on whoever they had up to progress?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that just didn't pan out for them.
It didn't pan out. And if there's another team in recent history that plays, not to coin this term, plays whack-a-mole with their with their picks, they beat the head over either defense or offense, and then they just start panicking and making panic picks based on, because they probably didn't have much intel on the guys that they stumbled into. And it's hard to look at a team who consistently does the same thing every year, trying to find that piece, like teams that go out in the search of a number 1 cornerback, and they go year after year trying to draft this guy. It's like, would it be satire for them to continue to do that this year? Do you think they're going to continue to just draft another defensive tackle this year? Because there are prospects out there.
I hope not. I hope they don't.
But do you think they do what everybody think they shouldn't do?
Probably not. Like you can. I've always said this with teams. You can pick what everyone thinks you should pick.
Mm-hmm.
You could take the sexy pick, or you could take what they're going to pick.
Yeah.
So whenever we do mock drafts, I always try to think of all 3. And eventually, I get a little reachy, and I'm like, well, this is what you should do. Yeah. But truthfully, like the Ravens, I want one of those stud Ohio State wide receivers. I do. That's what fans want. What they're going to pick is defense, because that's all the Ravens ever take in the first round is defense. That's it. So somewhere in between there is the sexy pick and the fan pick, which is where I kind of, and I tweak this. I've had Jordan Davis going to the Ravens for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that. Even though we exposed him a little bit in the SEC championship game, he came back and whooped us in the national title game. So he's got it. He's got that motor. He's got that drive. He's incredibly fast for a 340-pound guy. But point being, like, what we want the Bills to do, you're right, versus what they're going to do, I have a bad feeling they're going to continue to be the stupid Bills and keep themselves out of a Super Bowl year after year.
Yes. I think so, too, because I think that they're watching the market, and as you see, they didn't go out and, well, they had a couple signings. They signed a couple people. They signed Von Miller to that ridiculous deal. Rogers, Stuffold, but besides OJ Howard, which is a mediocre deal, but besides that, they haven't really moved the needle. So, but do you feel like since they signed Von Miller, that they won't make defensive line a priority?
They probably will, because they'll think he'll cover all the gaps.
Mm-hmm. No. And they did release Starr.
Did they? Why? Oh. Like, he's old, yeah, but effective to a degree.
Oh, like, sidebar.
Yeah.
How much do you think Duke Johnson factors into who they're going to get as a wide receiver?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know, because now you got me messed up. I don't know. I really don't know, because even so, like, you got me stumped. I'm actually stumped. I've got nothing for you.
Because the reason I say that is because he's a specialty back.
Yes.
He's a specialty back.
Yes.
Even though he's a bigger bruiser style back, he plays with a little bit of finesse and panache.
But it'll stop them from doing anything good. I guess that's what I was trying to get at. Like,
yes.
They will think
it's going to make them feel as if they don't have to reach for that position because they have extra help around. They have guys, but are they the right fit? Duke Johnson, how much did the quarterback throw to the running back last year? How much will that be a factor? Are they changing their scheme to fit a little bit more balanced style of offense, not leaning so heavily on the run? Will they go against the grain this year?
Probably not. Like, they seem pretty set in their ways of Josh Allen will do everything.
Yes. Yeah. And they're going to ride him till the wheels fall off, like Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions. Sorry, babe.
Andrew Luck, and like you can go through a list
of guys. Indianapolis Colts. You know, take all the good years from him, and he's not going to be worth anything by the time he hits the market.
Nope. So let me ask you another question here, and I feel like you've got a good answer for this. Is Sean McDermott Bieniemy level good?
No.
Okay.
In my opinion, he's not even Matt Nagy good.
Ooh. Why? So is he just benefiting from a good roster, you think?
Yes. He's benefiting if I can give you a quick scenario. Try to make this short. If they lose two offensive linemen, their star running back and their star wide receiver, how well could that system run with the depth that they have on their roster right now?
They'd be so screwed it's not even funny.
I tell you what, the reverse stats on that will probably speak differently, but I think that personally, the structure and the way he builds his team is sound. Front four, right? Front five, front four, whatever.
Right.
In the trenches. Once they get that set up right, I feel like his team would run a lot better. But with how they scout, I don't know how well they can see a prospect. Because some of the guys they're looking at don't even fit the scheme in which they're playing for. And then you try to coach this guy up to play in this system, and he falls short. Or you expect him to progress, and you push these guys in the starting lineup from second and third round. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that potential if you don't let them sit back, learn the system? Some of these guys need a year. Some of these guys aren't polished. Some of these guys aren't ready.
I made a similar comment about Trevor Lawrence coming into last year's season.
There you go.
You're going to put him in a bad situation and force him to learn how to play bad ball, how to play hero ball, instead of just letting him learn. Put in somebody. Were they actually going to compete for a Super Bowl last year? No. Let him sit. Let him learn from a veteran. Then throw him to the Wolves when he's ready.
There you go.
Yep.
Or after the coach gets fired. Either one.
I may have enjoyed that, but
oh my goodness. Me personally, when you step away once from football, okay, come back. It's all right. Once you step away twice from football, all right, I'll give you a little slack. But if you step away 3 times and then try to go get a head coaching job and then just bring in Tim Tebow to play tight end, a position he's never played in his life.
Carlos Hyde to compete with James Robinson.
Ooh, and that running back is old. And running back years, he's very old. Yes. And I don't see why you keep running him out there. Like, I can understand if it was a rookie or a year 2 guy or a guy on the practice squad you want to give a shot. Because James Robinson essentially was a no-name guy. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew a sniff of who he was. Next man up. Because they had ETN, right? And he had a good year. Didn't they draft ETN?
Yes, and then he got hurt in training camp.
There you go. And then you got to see that's another dumb thing that Urban Meyer did. Not to jump on Urban Meyer and to bash him or whatever.
You can. It's fine. Go ahead.
But he is the dumbest coach I've probably ever even known.
Yes.
For some of the idiotic stuff he does and call it football. Like, what did they address in any key spot?
Nothing.
They're just like the Houston Texans. Until they traded Deshaun Watson, the Houston Texans was just playing, running in place, bringing in bodies. It's not football, man.
No, it's not.
It's not football.
No, it's not. Right. So, because the Bills are negative 49,000 in cap space, let's talk about what they could do in the draft to help out their team.
Okay.
So, you go ahead and give me a rundown. What do you think where this stuff is? What do you agree with?
Okay. Off the top of my head, I would say that this is pretty solid outside of Matt Arza and Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler, I could go with Ty Chandler a little bit if their running back room wasn't 6 deep.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's not to say that could not also change. What do you feel about where do you feel James Cook will go in the draft?
I think a lot of people are going to overlook James Cook. He's going to go to this is what I think. It's going to be crazy. He's going to go to a running back room that's already stuffed, and then he's going to work his way up week after week.
There you
He's going
go.
to be the lead dog. Honestly,
like the Elijah Mitchell approach.
Yes, I think he's going to go to the Jets because the Jets are
Michael Carter
non-committal on Michael Carter.
Yeah,
like he's good. They don't love him the same way everyone else does.
There
so
you go.
The Jets move.
That's a normal Jets thing, man. They don't know talent until it leaves and wins a Super Bowl with somebody else.
Yeah, it's true. It's such a Jets move to say we drafted this running back really high last year. So to complement that, we're going to draft another running back this year. Like it's such a Jets move. It's not even funny.
There you
go. I would have put Cook there, but I think people are going to pass on Cook for a reason you and I talked about. He wasn't the main dog in Georgia. He wasn't. he had to split time. So people are going to look at that and say, can he take that workload? I don't know. Like, he's got good speed, but is he a workhorse?
He's not a 3-down back. He doesn't have great hands.
Yep.
All this kind of malarkey, man. But untapped potential is a real thing because you not only draft for the talent that's available, you have to look at the upside. And I feel like James Cook has a lot of upside, just like I feel like Wandale Moore has a lot of upside as well, because the way their style of play in the conferences they played in dictates how well of a prospect you'll become in my eyes. And Wandale Robinson, very fluid, very high motor. He's slight. He's 5'11", about 185, 190 pounds, but he has the ability to just blow past you. A 4.44 40.
The comparisons that I've heard, you might like this, is Deshaun Jackson-esque.
Yes. He's got the height quality. He's got the slim factor. He's got the punt return, kick return thing, special teams thing down. Easy contributor on special teams. He easily can become a Devin Hester. Agility, speed. All right. Here's some of the great things that I saw in him.
Hit it with me.
Where we at? Ooh, I lost my train of thought. Oh.
You're good.
Okay, here we go. Explosive. 4.44. Fast and confident. He plays very confident. He's not afraid to go up against the best corner, the best DB, and show him what's what. If he loses, he's still going to talk trash and come back and try to do it again. Good burst, agile, and athletic. He's just an athlete. If you were picking him up and from high school, he'd be an ATH all day.
Yep.
He'd be an athlete all day. And he's just that kind of guy that you could probably mold him and create a Rondale. Well, I can't really say Rondale Moore because Rondale Moore hasn't proven himself. Can create a Steve Smith-esque style player.
I like that. And I agree with that.
That's what I think. And I think that's actually going to be a third-round pick for them. That's just my opinion because I feel like they may try to go back in the second round and get a defensive lineman just to try to ease the pain. And I think they might reach for a guy like it's on your list, Haskell Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
He has good intangibles. He's a little slow. He runs a 5.07, which is to be expected. Not everybody's Jordan Davis,
right?
But he also has he's 6'2", 298. He's in a bigger guy. He's got good leverage. He's a strong tackle. They at the combine, on his tape, his tackling, pure tackling. He's good at bear hug, chest to chest tackles. He drives through the player, puts him down. He's not arm tackling. He's not pulling at you. He's getting his hands on you, and he's wrapping you up. Good block shedder and strong. That's his biggest part of his profile. He's a big, strong defensive lineman that can get at it. Now, his arms are a little smaller, but it's something you can work with because with the power that he has to push by, he just has to work on getting that pop. That initial hit has to be something that moves the line.
Yes.
And I feel like being with the Bills and the style of offense that they run, they can really groom him up and let him sit back. And he could even become a rotational piece if he can pull the pieces together, at least on rundowns. Yeah, because he's not a pure rusher, so it's going to be a little bit of grooming. It's going to take a little time, but he's a prospect that I feel has a lot of upside if they work on this technique a little bit.
So there are your steals. Wandale Robinson, you heard it here first from Bugman Stats. Let me put it up. There it is. You heard it first from Bugman Stats. Wandale Robinson, Haskell Garrett, two guys to be watching on draft day.
Check our Twitter. I'm gonna have updated stats on Wandale Robinson head to head with a few wide receivers of his mold, and I will post that on the Twitter later on this week. I actually have a couple of other guys that are no names that we're gonna create a little bio thing on them and do some tail of the tape on them, I guess. Guys that I really feel like the Bills and the Bucks are really going to pass on because they're looking in a whole another direction. But if you play best man available, there's a lot of guys out there around those picks that aren't exactly their needs, but their fits, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And I'm going to put some stats up to try to get some of these GMs to reconsider some of these dumb picks they've been making over the years.
That's good. We need that. Yes. Let's go on to the Tennessee Titans. Okay. I love Kyle's notes. You can kind of tell how he feels about something because of how he writes. Cornerback for the Titans. He wrote it very clearly. Who's the guy? Farley and Fulton are both young draft picks, but do they trust them enough and in their development moving forward?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Caleb Farley's okay, but not, I think, what they were expecting with that pick.
No. Intangibles.
Yep.
The things that set you apart from the guy above you in the depth chart. If you put those two guys out there, they could possibly manage a game or two. But could they do it for the long haul? Could you plug him in and allow him to run even 60% of the offense effectively? Probably not. The intangibles aren't there. They're qualified to be a backup.
Yeah. Probably good backups, but not
probably good, serviceable. You know, they give you the Trevor Siemian type deal. You'll get a good game or two.
Yeah.
Then once he realizes that it's on his shoulders, it may not come out that way. But there have been guys that have been, taking a long time. Ryan Tannehill's a prime example.
Yep.
It took him moving to a whole other team and a coach just bringing him in but can that be reciprocated?
I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. This one made me sad just because I had that man's jersey. I love Julio Jones. They released him. A.J. Brown is literally their only threat left.
Yes. And I would say he's maybe top 20.
Maybe.
He
might be higher if he had someone other than Tannehill throwing to him.
You made a very valid point right then.
Let's go to linebackers. They let go of Rashaan Evans. Zach Cunningham is a solid run defender, but they may need to get more speed at linebacker. They don't look like they have what's necessary to really shut down the run game in a division where you're going to run up against Jonathan Taylor and potentially somebody else with the Texans if they draft a really good running back. And then the Jags are going to bring in Etienne and Robinson. We just talked about James Robinson.
Yes.
If you don't have speed, everyone's going to be running for 200, 300 yards a game on you.
All right. That is a big thing because they're another team that I feel in the AFC where everybody's taking leaps and bounds forward. What have you done to solidify your place, even in the AFC South? The AFC South obviously isn't that hard of a division to win out of. So are they playing it safe by not over-investing and allowing your needs to be met in the draft? They are, obviously, by their draft selection, able to make a comfortable pick like that from the eyes of the public. But internally, how strongly do you feel about your offensive line?
Yep.
Because even though they were one of the top three in the NFL, it's only getting older. Not everybody's back. What are you going to do next? Are you going to try to move the needle? Are you going to make a big swing? Or are you just going to play it safe like a mid-market team?
Yep. I'm with Kyle on his comments about that. Derrick Henry is the guy.
Yes.
But if you can't get him space, you might as well just give up.
And how old will he be at the start of this year?
20, I want to say 27. I don't know that offhand. And if you do, I'm dying because, again, that's another Bugman stats.
All right. Let me tell you. I have this. Henry. He had a fast 40 time too. Oh.
Yes, he did.
He's 28. He'll be by the time the playoffs come around in January, he'll be 29 years old. Life expectancy of a running back. Okay. Now, this is one more stat. Hidden stat I'm going to give you. In his career, which he was drafted in 2018, right?
Yes.
In his 4, maybe 5 years, he's had over 1,400 rush attempts.
Oh, wow.
So that is a lot of wear and tear on the body, and he's coming back from a significant injury. So could they be possibly looking for someone? Do they still see him as what I'm saying is, do they still see him as a unicorn, or do they see him as expendable, upgradable, complementary?
I think it's going to hit complementary. You cannot keep giving him the workload that he's had.
No.
I think they're going to put someone at least behind him. They've never had anyone good behind him. Even if you just have someone groom him to be his replacement in a couple of years, in like 2 years or so. Because you're right, like 29, 30, 31, when is it time to hang it up? Like Henry, you can't keep pushing Father Time. You really can't.
You can't. And then what feels so bad, like they don't if you look at their needs around the league, its consensus shows that nobody really feels like they need an offensive running back right now. And which
get that.
I can't understand, because what is their depth chart like at running back? It can't be
Henry, McNichols. That's probably about it.
That's probably about it. And Evans, was it Rashad Evans? Was it Rashad Evans that was with him? That might have been like 3 years ago. But anyway, I really feel like if they're not going to invest in another running back, which I don't see why they shouldn't, but if they don't, I really think they need to change their offensive line a little bit.
I agree. Tight end is the only other thing I would agree that they need. They don't really have anybody. They signed Austin Hooper, but so what?
So what? Austin Hooper is a bum. I'm sorry. I can't say things like that about people. It's not nice.
I know.
But
so that's actually a common phrase on this podcast.
He's not even top 10. He's not even top 10. He's
not even top 20.
No. I could put Tyler Conklin ahead of him. I could put Cole Kmet ahead of him. I could put
Jonnu Smith.
Johnson. Oh, yeah. Jonnu Smith. Hunter Henry. Definitely Mark Andrews. Definitely, even if Gronk unretires, I'll put Gronk ahead of him. I'll put
I'd put Evan Ingram ahead of him even.
Oh my gosh, no. I can't agree with you. He has
by this much.
He has even with his bad ankles?
Yes. By this, what has Hooper done? what exactly what you just said a couple minutes ago. Hooper is a touchdown receptacle, just like what's his name out of the Bills?
Dawson Knox.
Yes. He's just a touchdown receptacle. You take that away, he's nothing.
He's nothing. Yep. He can't. He doesn't have a very extensive route tree. Nope. Who would I think? I would have rather OJ Howard wouldn't have been any better. I guess Evan Ingram could have been a flyer maybe for them instead of Austin Hooper. I guess Austin Hooper was like the last array. Hold on. I think they were actually after Njobi, but they read up. They
signed with them.
Yeah, they signed him. Yeah, they gave him all that money. That's what the tight end market really needed. David Njoku. Sorry, my apologies.
I knew what you meant. You're good. Can we just go ahead and if y'all want to see what the picks are for the Titans, that's fantastic. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a D to an F. Like, their picks are atrocious. How many of them did anything? Any of them? Help me out. Like, Dylan Radins, not really. No. Monty Rice, not really. Elijah Molden, nope. Rashad Weaver,
nope.
Racy McMath, Brady Breeze, Caleb Farley. Like, you go through the whole list. Who contributed out of that entire draft? Well, nobody. So I'm going to go ahead and give that answer. So let me ask you the really spicy question. Everybody asks about the Titans. You're the stat man. I know that you're going to know a lot more about this. Is Tannehill the long-term answer for the Tennessee Titans?
His age would tell you no.
Okay. What about stat?
Okay. Average depth of target is down, but that would have more to – you could say his average depth, his ADOT could be affected. Well, air yards. His air yards could be affected by A.J. Brown not being there, by Julio Jones being hurt, by not having a true tight end. They were chucking it down in the backfield a lot, especially when Derrick Henry got hurt. Their pass game became pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
When it's like the telltales. Okay, let me give you a stat. I can tell you right now, Ryan Tannehill is probably as serviceable as Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Consistent enough. Okay. His average depth of target, his passing touchdown rating is 7.7, which is 16th. His air yards per game, 225.5. which is 28th. His passing yards, 220 passing yards. Okay. His actual passing yards with 228.5, which is ranked 28. These are the stats that you look at when you want to know how well a quarterback gets the ball down the field, how effective he is throwing the ball down the field. And if you're 28 out of 32 starting quarterbacks, that means that Justin Fields is better than you. That means Baker Mayfield's better than you. That means let me show you how many quarterbacks are better than him right now. There we go. We're gonna go with data analysis. All right. No, I don't want to do that. Oh, add wall. Sorry.
You're good.
All right. Let's see. Just to give you an idea, his college QBR was 32 out of 36. So that just gives you an idea of him coming out of college. His completion percentage is always pretty consistent. 67.2 last year, 2020, it was 65.5%. The year before that, it was 70.3. Okay. Yards per attempt, 7. 7.9, 9.6. Like, who in their right mind would feel as if he would have any ability to pass the ball downfield? I don't know if that's what you were looking for.
Yes.
But that is Tannehill. And I can tell you one quarterback in the draft right now that is projected by Mel Kiper to go to the Carolina Panthers. All right. And it's Kenny Pickett. It's Mr. Small Hands. All right. I can tell you like this, hands mean a lot, and when the conditions change.
Right.
When it's wet, cold, things of that nature, humid, whatever, you have to be able to grip that ball. and he wears his gloves everywhere. Like they saw him in the hallway throwing the football with his gloves. And he is what I see when I look at Ryan Tannehill.
Yes.
And the allure to quarterbacks like them, they're nerds. They can learn the system, they can manage an offense, but will they really take that offense to the next level? You don't need a game manager if you're trying to win championships.
Right.
That's the standard in which the NFL has relegated themselves to. It's just finding competent pieces, running them for 4 years, deciding whether or not you want to take the option, kick them out, start it over until you find something that fits.
Yep.
But these guys really have to start doing some groundwork and investing in players who have true value. You can't keep drafting value players who really don't have true value, because if your upside's not more than where you're being drafted at, then there's really no need in being taking you unless you're in the late round. There are some outliers. Grady Jarrett was a 5th-round pick, and he turns out to be an all-pro stud.
Ridiculous.
But how often does that happen? In the running backs, it seems like it happens all the time. Some new guy just pops out of the scene, does good, and then there's another guy. But some positions, they just needs more time and investing. There's been things that saying that they need to trade back into the 2nd round, get another draft pick so they can draft a quarterback next year.
Yeah.
They have
so I think they should. I don't think there's anybody here that's really going to do it for him.
No.
Big time. Especially when they have $2.84 million in cap space.
Yeah.
You ain't going to pay for one of those big boys. You ain't got the money for it.
No. So they're going to have to go to the draft to find what they need. They're another draft-heavy team.
Yep. And speaking of draft-heavy, I picked a lot of guys with high upside. Thank you for a couple suggestions on this as well. Yes. Let's go first. Kenyon Green, obvious reasons. Derrick Henry is your whole offense. Help him out. Yes. Even if Henry isn't going to make it, why not pair Kenyon Green with his college classmate, Isaiah Spiller? I like the guy. I think he's dangerous. I think that's the speed guy that you pair with the bulldozer. Suddenly your run game is explosive.
Okay. I can deal it. I can feel that pick because I like the way Green plays. He plays with a lot of tenacity. He plays with a lot of edge. He's a feisty player. He has and how great would it be to sit there and take reps with the guy you've been taking reps with for the last couple years, building that camaraderie, taking that into this power run scheme. You can become a great change of pace back. He has a little experience catching out of the backfield. What I'm interested in is who they're taking at tight end. Tell me a little bit about Cade Otten.
Cade Otten, he's very big. He's getting the Gronkowski name thrown around it. He's a big-bodied guy. He's a great catch radius. Okay. He's not overly speedy, but neither was Gronk, and that worked out for him. It's just knowing where the ball needs to go, knowing where to position yourself to receive the ball. I think having that kind of guy with the Titans would be good. However, I am very biased. Everybody has a small school that they root for. Mine is Coastal Carolina, so that you know this ahead of time. I love Isaiah Likely.
Isaiah Likely?
Okay. Yes, he is Kyle Pitts light. Like if you want Kyle Pitts on a budget, you want Isaiah Likely.
No, you don't want him. You want Charlie Collier, Iowa State, redshirt senior, 6'5", 257 pounds, deep threat wide receiver, somebody to pop the top. He doesn't have the best footwork, but you can teach that to a guy who can run fast. You can teach that to a guy who can run. You can teach that to a physical man. You can turn him into a Gronkowski, maybe a Mark Andrews-esque. Maybe even if he's just Dawson Knox's first year, I'll take those 5, 6, 7 touchdowns.
Right.
500 yards. And if he progresses, if he takes hold of the system, that could be a steal in the 3rd, 4th round because he right now on Draft Tech, they have him 4th overall in this position. Cade Otten is higher than him.
Yep.
But me personally, I feel like Charlie Collier has a little bit more upside.
I like that. I do. We talked about the kind of those nerd quarterbacks that can kind of heave it.
Yes.
Carson Strong is not going to win any mobility is key like thinking for a lot of NFL execs, and that's okay. That means he's going to fall to somebody that he might be a steal for. His biggest thing coming out of the Senior Bowl was he knew the playbook in and out. He knew exactly what he was doing. And I think that's going to translate really well to a team that favors guys like Tannehill that are just smart more than big athlete. So
you get a money manager a little bit. Manage me a little bit. Get this thing together.
All right.
Let me give you a little bit of if you don't mind, let me give you a little advanced stats on Collier.
Okay.
40 time. 4.67.
It's not bad.
4.6 for a 257 pound, 6
How
foot.
tall is he again?
6'6".
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's fast.
Hands.
Yikes.
10 inches.
Oof.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a small little sample size, a couple of points.
Why is he not getting love?
Conference.
Big 12. That makes sense.
Okay. And once you hear about his weaknesses a little bit, I gotta give shouts out to NFL Draft Buzz. I gotta give shouts out to PFF Podcast, PFF Daily. A lot of the intel that I came in with today came from those sources, so I gotta give him shouts out. Mel Kiper. Some of his draft picks that he picked this year are golden. Some of them I think he's smoking dope. But I really, really think that Collier could be a good fit. Now, just a few intangibles. Hands like glue. First thing that pops out of the combine from Scout Report. Hands like glue. Big target, reliable target in the red zone.
That might be Gronk Jr.
Yes, he sheds defense and will let the ball into his pad to protect it, to absorb big hits over the middle.
Clever.
Creates mismatches, out muscles and shields corners. High football IQ. Understand where he needs to be and is never caught out of place. Come on. Nearly always comes down with contested catches. Who does this sound like?
It sounds like him. It sounds like fast Gronk is what it sounds like.
Good body control. Technique.
Almost
excellent tracking.
If you could have a baby between Megatron and Gronk, that's what this sounds like.
There you go.
That's terrifying.
Now, this is where you get leveled out a little bit. Very limited as an athlete. Doesn't have elite quickness and not twitchy. He doesn't have a quick twitch. He moves kind of slow, deliberate. If you had to think of he runs a 4.67, but if you had to think of someone who was that big running, he probably runs more. Sorry, I have to say it like this. He's got a lot of bad reputation, but you remember Hernandez from
yes.
He runs kind of like that, deliberate, uses his body to shield the football, doesn't really create much separation.
Yeah.
He's a straight line guy. High hips, kind of slow. You know, he takes a little while to get rolling. His frame also limits him as a blocker.
Ouch.
And not a threat in open field. Limited in run after catch. Yards after catch. Built like a wide receiver with a high cut frame and limited power. Not a good separator. Routes. Inconsistent with his release. Not a good pass blocker and lacks body control.
Ow.
See?
That brings him back to earth a little bit.
Yes, it brings you back to earth and gives you a little bit perspective because you can see that can those drawbacks be coached? Can they be reworked? Can I talk you into taking a chance on him in the third round?
Yes, because there's too many things that you can't teach in that first part that you mentioned that he has nailed. You cannot teach a guy to protect the football like that instinctively. You cannot teach a guy to have good hands. You can't, you know what I mean? Like the stuff that you're telling me, I'd take a shot on him. Now, it wouldn't be early. It'd be like third round, maybe fourth round, maybe fifth round, depending on what happens. Maybe fifth round, because people aren't going to target tight ends that early.
Yes, you're right, because there aren't any real unicorns out there this year.
No.
Now, I'm going to have to cut you off for a second because I do have to go use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
All right, you're good.
All right,
so in the meantime, we also have Jahan Dotson from Penn State. Obvious go-getter, great receiver. I don't really see any downside to taking Dotson. And then D'Angelo Malone kind of fixing that line on the defensive side. Like we said earlier, they just kind of do both, keep things going. So what we're going to go into next, we're going to go into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I will wait for my co-host for that one. But I will tell you some of the things that they're going to need. Running back, Leonard Fournette resigns, but is that enough? I mean, with the departure of Robert Jones, that's really not going to help them a whole ton, be a little painful. D-tackle, Ndamukong Suh is not getting younger. The pass rush needs to continue to be improved. They just need more guys. They need so much more there to be competitive. The one that I'm sure Jay is going to have an opinion on is Brady. He loves his weapons. Godwin's going to be out. AB is not there. He's back. Now I can bring it up. So Brady loves his weapons. Godwin's going to be out for a bit. AB is whatever.
Oh, he's not coming back.
No.
Bruce Arians is a very tough. He's very tough. As a coach, he has the tough love mentality. You seen how he treated Ronald Jones when he fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
You see how he treats players when they don't play the scheme the way he fits. I feel like if he talked the way he talked about Tampa Bay and Bruce Arians, there's no way Bruce Arians would even entertain him walking in the door.
No, he hated him
with
a passion.
And let me ask you this. How sure are you at Russell Gage as their slot?
I'm not. He wasn't consistent enough with the Falcons for me to think that he will be with Tom Brady. Like, regardless of who the quarterback is, like, you still have to be able to haul in what's thrown your way. And he was.
Let me
go ahead.
Tell you something about Russell Gage Jr. Russell Gage Jr. is the same height as Calvin Ridley.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, hold on. I believe. I've had to learn that I've looked up stats and I've been wrong. He is, 6 foot.
Okay.
Yeah. 6 foot. 196 pounds. He's slight.
Yeah, that's pretty skinny.
Yes, but last year was his best year. He had 66 catches. Never mind. Sorry, I lied. Let me go back.
That's okay.
2020 was technically, for all intents and purposes, technically his best year. 72 catches, 786 yards, 11 average catch, 10.9 yards, long 35. So, 2021, 66 catches, 770, 11.7, 49 was his long, blah, 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 blah. Right. Now, average depth of target is a thing. And if his most effective position, I believe, is the slot. I believe that's why they went out and pushed for him, because they will put him in a position where he can be more comfortable, where he's not asked to take on such a big load, because you saw in Atlanta when he was having to play outside, having to play inside, having to play left side, having to play right side, moving around the formation, he looked good. He looked, well, no. overall he looked good.
Yeah.
He looked okay. Below average is an outside guy. But quick intermediate routes, using his footwork, running a route tree. A lot of people didn't think out of the fifth round he would make anything of himself when Dan Quinn drafted him.
Yeah.
You know? And through necessity, Olamide Zaccheaus is another guy. Through necessity, you see the potential of later round picks. Olamide Zaccheaus is another slot guy. He's just going to move. He's not a number 2 guy. He's not going to stay out on the outside. And I think that's going to be the same impression what they're going to do with Russell Gage. They're going to move him on the inside, allow him to play slot on both sides of the ball, on both sides of the offensive line, and, try to give a little Debo, because if you saw him in college, he had a little bit of that in him. He has a little speed. He's not slow. He's not a slow wide receiver. He's not the most agile, but he has his moments where he can be effective. And I think that's more of a fit for them as a number 3/number 4 than as the number 1 in Atlanta.
Yeah. I had to pull up some stats just to see, and pull up some video clips just to watch him play, to listen to that while you were talking. I'm like, okay, I see it. I wonder if it's consistent enough for Tom Brady's liking. That's my only thing, because we both know Brady is also very tough to play with. So,
okay, hold on. Before we move forward, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Last season, he lined up 55% of his offensive snaps in the slot.
Yep.
No, hold on. No. He ran 55% of his snaps on the outside, and in the slot, 40% of them. He caught 31 passes for 331 yards out of the slot, and 157 of those yards came after the catch.
Ouch.
There's the potential I feel like they have when they acquired him. His run after the catch, his dynamic play was underplayed because the quarterback play was underplayed. He is going to another share the sugar, share the wealth style quarterback in Tom Brady. Tom Brady does not like to be set on one guy because he knows the way defenses think. All right, I'm going to run with Godwin this week, run Godwin down their throat, and then next week I'm going to go over here to Mike Evans, and then next week I'm going to give Russell Gage and the tight end a little bit of shot just to kind of mix it up a bit. But the only difference between Matt Ryan and Tom Brady, who's better? Yeah. Who's better? Who's better at managing the game at an elite level? Yeah. He may have won an MVP, but he's not top tier elite. He's mid tier. And he's low mid tier now at this stage in his career. You know, as far as fantasy expectations, team expectations, he may take his team to the playoffs. They're in the AFC South. Yeah. But I feel like Russell Gage will pick, if he's out with Tom Brady, training with Tom Brady, getting to know Tom Brady, like AB was, moved in with Tom Brady, picked his brain, those type of things. That's what you want to see to let you know that this player is all in to try to get some reps, because he knows what he has with Mike Evans. He knows what he has with Godwin when Godwin's healthy. He knows what he has with Leonard Fournette out of the backfield. But he don't know you. So he's got to give a chance for himself to be in Tom Brady's face. If he can do that, he can be great. And I'm sorry, we can move on from that one.
Yeah, you're good. No, it's all right. Let's see what. Oh, offensive guard. Kappa's gone. Could use another guard to protect Brady. Mm-hmm. Tight end. Gronk is unsure.
Is Murpet still retired? Huh? Murpet still doesn't come out of Murpet? He still doesn't come out of retirement?
I don't think so. If he has, it's not something that I've heard recently.
Okay. I'm wondering if he came out of retirement and joined the Rams.
He might have. He might have, come to think of it. Cornerback injuries were bad. They need some more depth.
Yes.
Tight end Cameron Brate is fine, but probably could use somebody.
He retired at 28.
Yeah.
I thought he was over the hill.
No, he was still young especially for O lineman.
Yeah, that's crazy.
As for their draft picks from last year, nothing that really contributed and helped them right away. But they're not a team that needs that. So for now, I'll give it a C. Because to be determined, like they didn't need most of these guys. It was more just like, oh, what do you want to just pick just because? So that can be determined later. You and I have talked about this. I think we brought it up earlier. Trask is not going to be the man once Brady leaves. We know that. So would you draft somebody this year or hold out for next year?
I would if – it's a very tough question. It all depends on what you see as their top need and the availability. Because if I were them, if they could find their biggest need, what would you say their biggest need? The offensive line, left tackle, either left tackle or left guard.
Probably no. It's easier to tackle. It's easier to find a guard than a tackle, I think.
Oh, I forgot about somebody. Linderbaum.
Oh, that's fine. I can talk about that once we pull him up. Yeah.
Oh yes, I forgot all about him. Tyler Linderbaum.
Yes, out of Iowa. He's very flexible.
He is able to play all 5 positions on the offensive line, and they're projecting him to be a higher draft grade at guard than the top guard prospect, Liam. I'm gonna mess this name up. I always do. Likem Ikawanyu.
Ike Ekwonu. Yeah,
Ike Ekwonu. Yes, they have him drafted. They have his prospect value higher than the best guard coming out of the draft, and he's not even a guard.
That's nasty. That's pretty nasty.
Yeah. Now, if that kind of player falls in their lap, I would say they would do that. Or I feel like they can go back in the 3rd round and get someone probably like Darian Kennard. I think Darian Kennard could be a good find for them, and they could trade back a draft pick so that they trade out of the 1st round into the top of the 2nd. Give away your 1st round draft pick for whatever draft pick next year. Take a loss. Give up a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick. I know that they're probably stacked at draft picks at this point. And play for the future because you know you're going to need a quarterback. If there's anybody else who needs to kick that perennial draft can to the future,
it's the Buccaneers.
Yep. Because I don't feel like they can pull a Bill Belichick and find a fixer-upper in the 5th, 6th round that could turn into something that can be magical for them. Nope. It's going to take somebody that they prep. I don't see anybody in the draft this year that's worth even to get a further look at. Because who would push the needle farther than Kyle Trask out of that draft class? Desmond Ridder won't be there.
Nope.
I don't think they're going to go for Carson Strong.
They could do Brock Purdy, but it depends on if they like him enough. They could take Bailey Zapp, the guy out of Western Kentucky.
Yeah, they could take
if they like him enough. There's nobody that's just solid. I think my personal favorite out of the guys that are here is Malik Willis. Yeah, that's a table for another conversation. But Malik Willis for me, I think is top tier.
You know who I thought would be a top prospect, even though he plays for Cincinnati.
Ridder.
Yeah. Why did he? I don't know if his combine turned bad or the perception of him, but what he did against Georgia, how he played and kept them in the game, I don't see how they could pass up on such a perennial talent with the upside.
I think, and if I'm being honest, the Alabama game killed him because all I could hear the commentator saying was he looks lost. He's not making the right reads. He's having a hard time. But you got to think they were playing against Alabama.
Yes,
the fact that they were there,
break your neck. That front 7 was
Gross.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And Cincinnati didn't have a lot of even 3-star prospects on their offensive line.
So the argument there, it started there that he just wasn't elite enough to deal with the big guys.
You know what? I would have thought that about Mac Jones.
Yeah. A lot of people did.
I still do. I'm still out on Mac Jones. I don't think he can elevate himself to a position unless he has superstar wide receivers.
We said that. He benefited from where he was drafted.
There you go.
Yep.
Now, the coach itself, I give it a little grain of salt. Bill Belichick is still there. It's been a shuffle between offensive coordinators because everybody wants a part of Bill Belichick's coaching tree.
Right.
But with Bill Belichick in place, I feel like even if they brought somebody in like Kenny Pickett or Carson Strong, or maybe even take a flyer on Matt Corral, because the intangibles for Matt Corral is there. He's just got to go through. He's got the same problems, progression. All of these quarterbacks have almost identical problems.
Yep.
Yes, like Malik Willis can scan the field, can make good reads, but name one thing. The drawback.
Right.
Or if you look at Matt Corral, progressions. Carson Strong, somewhat progressions. Arm strength's never a question. He's a super shooter, like super. I watched his.
They'll hit Kenny Pickett on what? Intangibles.
Yes.
Yep.
But it's just pieces missing. Not as mobile. Gets stuck in one place. Gets stuck on reads when the pocket collapses, or trigger happy. Willis is trigger happy. Can throw bad passes. Can throw into coverage. Level of competition at the college level. Desmond Ridder, same thing. Intangibles. The mobile quarterbacks all have the same problem.
Bailey Zapp broke Joe Burrow's record, but he played for a mid-major. Like, they always have a but on everything.
Yeah, always a but. There isn't a complete player at quarterback this year, and it hurts my heart because I want to root for one of these guys to be a top 5 pick. Then I can jump on board with them. But Malik Willis in some draft boards is going as low as 18, 20.
Yep.
20. The first quarterback coming off the board at 20, I can't feel too confident about that.
I've seen him go at 8, which I don't know what you think about that. But
no. Why? Well, Marcus Mariota is on essentially a 1-year deal with a player with a team option. So they could theoretically move on from him and not take much of a dead cap hit.
Right.
But to go for Malik Willis, would you really feel like Arthur Blank would go for that style of quarterback the second time?
Probably not. No. I forgot. So do you have a favorite on this list for Buccaneers picks?
I don't like Tom Brady, so I hope they're all bad. But I would say Breece Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to make an addition, a sleeper.
You gonna put Kobe Bryant in there?
I want to take Kobe Bryant out and replace him with Zion McCullum.
Out of
he's out of Cincy. Sam, this guy's out of Cincy. My guy's out of Sam Madison State University.
Oh yeah, I have no idea who that is. You're gonna have to.
All right, let me pull up this guy's stats, and I'm gonna have to let you. But here we go. Zion McCullum. Let me get him pulled back up. And once again, I'm taking my reference from NFLDraftBuzz.com just to plug that in. So
all right,
don't get sued. Okay, now before I give you these, he is not predicted to be a top 3 round guy. He's not predicted to be that high.
No.
But if I'm being a sideline GM, okay, when I played Madden, I'm going to put you in perspective. When I play Madden, I look for players who Sam Houston State University.
Yes.
I look for players who can fulfill a need and maybe potentially upgrade that need, even if the needle is small or minute. As long as I can see potential in him and even a slight upgrade, I'll take it. And for me, I think the Bucs could use a little bit more of consistent depth. And I think that with the opportunities he could possibly get, I think he's a 4-year player as well. 6'4", has a player rating of 76.8. Ran a 4.33, which is one of the fastest times for cornerbacks on that day. He's 6'4", 202 pounds, 9 1/8 inch hands, 31 1/8 inch arms, with a 74-inch arm wingspan. How can you pass around that man? How can you what? What?
Quick answer, you don't.
You don't. He's quick and has good hands. Catch radius. All right. Strengths. Not a major liability. He is a zone cover wide receiver, cornerback, DB. He could be moved. He's labeled a DB, so he could move to safety. I don't know if you'd rather have him. You'd rather have him at strong safety for run support, being more of a hybrid. So he's not a major liability in man coverage. Good enough feet and length to stay with slot receivers in a full wide set, which is good. Which means that I could bring him down from the safety position and I could play him even on their tight ends. He has the length to play up against a Mark Andrews, to play up against Tyler Conklin, to play up against these guys who come up through the box, and even take on the speedy wide receivers like Cole Beasley, like Rondale Moore, these guys that get around other players because they're not as fast, don't have as much length.
Right.
He overcompensates a lot with that wingspan. He doesn't actually have to be there as close as, say, a 5'9", 5'10" guy with a 64, 65, 70-inch hand, wingspan.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do as much, and his fluid motion, how he moves in coverage, how he eyes the ball, how he doesn't get caught. No, I'm not going to talk too far. He closes to the ball quite well because of his length and possesses hands to snatch balls away with his frame. Run supporter. He's been comped as Anton Whitfield-esque. Anton Whitfield-esque. All right, that's light-esque too. Very light. Short area explosiveness. He's also a legitimate NFL caliber cover. He has cover skills that are translatable or transferable over to the NFL. So, do you feel like there's a system in which he could come in there and actually be beneficial? He doesn't have much weakness either. He has great physicality, lean, plenty of room for muscle mass. He's a legitimate NFL caliber athlete.
He sounds like he could end up being the next piece to a Legion of Boom defense.
There you go. He just needs to get a little bit stronger. He gets with cornerbacks. Sometimes you get caught looking backfield, looking at things that don't really mean anything. That saying. You get tricked off of the line. You get tricked off of your coverage. You get tricked off of this. He finds himself getting caught looking too far into the backfield, not worrying about his zone, worrying about his coverage, trying to overcompensate, and it leads to a lot of problems, especially since he's a little stiff. He's not a sudden athlete. He does have blazing speed, but his transitional speed needs a little bit of work. He has tense ankles. His hips are choppy. He just needs to become more fluid in his motion.
Yeah.
That's the thing that steps out the most. That would be the biggest hindrance if they can't get any dexterity in his hips.
Because then that would just kind of shut him down to being a big shutdown corner.
There you go.
Yep.
What will give him that ability to play all over the secondary would be his ability to understand the concept of playing in that position and being able to move those hips.
Yep.
You got to be able to. You got to be like a salsa dancer out there, man. You got to be fluid with those hips. You got to get it moving, because if you're starting off cold and you go to move and you don't rotate when the receiver comes, or when the receiver jabs you and goes under you, you're looking in the backfield to see why he's doing that. No, stay here.
Yep.
Push him off. Push him the way. Shade him left. Shade him right. Stick on your coverage. Don't play him how you want to, unless you know that is the best way to play this guy.
I've always said good point guards are really good cornerbacks because it's similar defensive style.
Yes.
You control where you want him to go.
Mm-hmm.
You control everything where you want him to go. Don't bite. Don't fake. Stay with the ball. Stay with your man. Keep him where you want him.
These faster, quick, these guys, what will mess him up the most is polished route runners. Yeah. Polished route runners. And not to say that he primarily needs help. He's better when he's assisted. So that would kind of push him out of being, or the assister. Taking him out of taking him out of man-to-man coverage and putting him up and zoning him. Put him in the zone. He's not a major liability. He's just not as quick. It's something he has to learn. He has to learn how to be better at man-to-man coverage, because depending on where he played, he might not have played a lot of man.
Right.
Sam Houston State, I don't know what they play. They're Mountain West, right?
No, they're Division 2.
Oh.
Yeah, you really dug for somebody there. That's why I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. I can't take all the credit.
Right, that's okay.
It was kind of, when I was looking at I was listening to PFF, and they were talking about teams' draft needs, and cornerback came available. And so I started looking at the top 10 cornerbacks on the board, and then I started looking at their player ratings and tackling. He's not the best tackler either, but he's big, physical, has that safety mold. He has that Xavier Howard mode. You remember Xavier Howard? He has that Xavier Howard mode, but he's got to get better at man coverage. Xavier Howard doesn't play solely man coverage. They play in his own scheme. But if I had to take down this one guy, if I had to man up and put this guy on the island, I need you to be able to at least make it difficult. You don't have to take over the game, because if I'm putting you out there one-on-one coverage, I know I'm going to have to give you help.
Yep.
I know it. Or do you just want to be the helper? Do you just want to be that help? Do you want to play up high and play this hybrid mode? That's what I think I do with him. I might sit him back for a year, depending on who's there, groom him up, or he might have to play out of necessity. There's a lot of guys last year in Tampa that were no-name corners that were playing some serious minutes.
Yep.
And that's another part that I would see the clearest path for him becoming that player. And I really feel like he's the best fit.
I like it.
That's the best fit for him to have as much upside.
Yeah.
Either with the Bucs or the Bills.
Somebody at a low level with high upside. Yep.
Yes. There you go. Those diamonds in the rough, man. That's how you got to get them.
That's how you draft
some players there.
Yep. Man, I feel like you're going to be a GM in a couple of years if you keep thinking like that. You're going to be working with the Falcons, and
I'm telling you, they just need to make me a special advisor, so when they make dumb decisions, I can just tell them, man, we don't need another Michael Vick. We just need 3 years of dumpster fires, man. We just have to burn. We just have to burn it all. You just got to burn it all. You got to burn it down.
It's the only way to do it, right?
Yeah, because you can't. Transitions are for the NBA.
Yes.
Transition years are for the NBA, because that's tanking quarter. Football, play your best. Look for your pieces. You got to scout. You got to hunt, because you got 7 rounds to make this click. And if you can hit on these 3 rounds, you'll feel better about yourself.
That's true.
But if there isn't anything else pressing, I'm going to have to leave you for
Nope, you're good. I'm just going to wrap up. Thanks, everybody, for hanging with us. Thanks, Bugman Jay, for your first episode with Jocks of All Trades. We will see you guys Friday. Take care, guys.
All right. Check me out on Bugman J and Bugman J Stats on Twitter.